Some of the old people like me perhaps at least remember the stories. I hear that also today there are a lot of fights, even today, Twitter fights between British and Germans about, where the goal was over the line or not in '66. No, we know that lack of technology, what was the impact then? Some of us saw this live, hands of God. Obviously, the referee didn't. And today, and we saw this nicely in the World Cup, the technology is coming over. And VAR is just one aspect of it. The question is, what will be happening in the future? What will happen in 5 years' time? How are we going to experience sports? My kids today are watching sports totally different to to the way I do it. They have 3 screens. They see the Twitter of LeBron. They see all kinds of chats with friends. That's totally different social aspect of experience. So as Bernd said, our vision is to impact people's lives through the power of sports and innovation. The people behind Hype, there is a nice mixture, not easy always, between Germans and Israelis. A bit of a different culture, but we survived most of the board meetings so far. And by the way, you saw there Uli Becker, which was the president of Reebok, and also Dr. Hadar, which is a PhD for aerospace and fanatic about sports. My background, I used to be a football player, not that good apparently, but I then started my own company in London. I sold it after 6 years. Then I started a small investment house boutique, investing in startups, setting up accelerators around the world. Our last fund we've done about 4 times on the cash to our investors. And my big passion is sports and innovation. And I think for the first time in my life, I managed to combine my 2 greatest passions. Some of the numbers is Hype, as you can see, as Bernd mentioned. We have more than 10,000 startups. Yesterday, we had a chat with one of the big clubs here, and they were surprised to hear that there are 10,000 startups in the sports tech industry. There are much more than that. In the last 4 years, we've done 30 global events. In each event, we have sometimes 400 to 500 startups applying. You see verticals like fan engagement, performance analytics, media. You see smart stadiums, e-sport, virtual reality. Huge, huge topics. I would say sports innovation is not a niche anymore. So overall, we would like to believe that Hype has quite a unique positioning in overlooking the market and having access, on one hand, to the greatest startups, but on the other hand, to brands and clubs. And we can really work with that, solve the problems, or help the clubs and the brands solve their problems. And on the other hand, allow the startups, save them like 2-3 years by putting them in front of the decision makers and investing in them. Some of our partners, as you probably may know, and customers, as Bernd mentioned, we have currently 12 accelerators around the world, which are like the one we have here with FC Cologne, which are focusing on sports tech. Each accelerator is choosing their own focus. It could be focusing, for example, in Sweden with the Swedish Olympic Committee, it's more about Olympic sports. FC Cologne, there is a mix, but a lot of attention to media and content, and this is a media center, big media center around here. And the beauty here that the partner can choose. And by the way, the business model is that we give tons of value to the startups, but we also have options to invest in those startups. So it's a win-win. So just pictures for some of the accelerators. Obviously, we are very proud of the one in FC Cologne, and I want to thank Mr. Alex Verle, Philip, Mary, and the amazing team and the amazing partners they are. Again, a lot of clubs would like to have their own accelerators, but they usually say to us, you do the accelerator, leave us alone. We are focusing on football, or handball, or basketball. The beauty in this combination, and I'm saying this also to the Köln team, is that there is a real intention of using innovation to change the experiences, to get performance better. And the different departments in the club are really involved in the implementation of that. As I mentioned, within the CRM, we have a lot of startups, so you can look at the different segments: esports, fan engagement, fitness, health, smart stadium, wearables, and others. I mentioned why now and why it's a good time to be involved in sports innovation and investing in sports. I would share, we call it the perfect storm. You know, perfect storm is usually when all the global aspects are coming together. There is a lot of, I would say, things that changed in the last few years that enable this industry now to boom. The first is the young generation, which is consuming sports totally different to what we have. And the brands and the club needs to understand it. As we saw some of the startups here, you have another, who would think when I was young to go to a match and not to put all your attention and to have another screen? It's what do you mean? Yeah. You know, so the young generation, the Gen Z as they call them, age 13 to 22, new ways of consuming sports, and this is changing. We see Amazon just got the rights for the US Open. We see Facebook bought the rights for the Premier League in Asia. The industry is moving and changing, and nobody wants to be the next Kodak. And we can see the shift in the mindset in the brands, which 3-4 years ago told us, no, thank you very much, we have all the expertise in our offices, we are the best in what we do. Now they say, guys, what is the world has to offer? Bring us those great minds, entrepreneurs from all over the world. We want to see, let's do a hackathon, let's do an accelerator, let's see what these guys can do. We see the internet shopping. I sat in a room in a class in US. I asked the people, how many of you bought sports shoes online? It was 3 years ago. 100% of the people raised their hands. What impact would this have on shops, on retail? This is all part of what's happening around us. And we can see the new emerging markets, the esports. We just saw new deals announced with esports, getting into clubs, getting into big brands. With the way one of a Bundesliga team that we talked to are looking to use the esport to bring the young generation to the club. A lot of people are still thinking that this is two different worlds, but esport is a tool to bring the young generation, to connect between, you know, father and his kids. More impacts of this we can see, again, on the social networks and the impact. I don't know if you remember, there was a game in the United States in the NFL where one of the players in the locker room was sitting in with his video and playing live. And during the live Facebook, there was a lot of cursing in the background, and his manager was talking like dirty, you wouldn't believe, about the other team. And there was a big mess around that. And then it was identified that this player, Antonio Brown his name, is on a contract with Facebook of $500,000 a year to do 2 live sessions every month. Okay, the impact of sports, we see, you know, Ronaldo statistics in terms of social media, etc. Who is bigger, Ronaldo or Juventus in terms of social media? The star or the club. Some of the deals you're familiar with, Peloton just raised money. Last valuation was about $4 billion. We see Fitbit transaction. We see 3D, a startup was sold to Intel, by the way, based in Tel Aviv, sold to Intel at $175 million. More and more deals are coming into this business, and big deals. Just to look at the figures, this was published by Deloitte. 2018, just in startups, investments in sport innovation, over $7 billion invested in startups. $7 billion just in 2018. This is the fastest growing industry in the sports tech. If you look at all verticals, as far as investment is concerned. Few words about our fund. As mentioned, most of the funds say that they have a great deal flow, but we've done it differently. We've created the deal flow first, and then we said, okay, now we get our friends and we put the money in and we invest in the right startups. And not only we can find the best startups, but we can also help them to go to the next level. So the startups are in the heart of our activities. Alongside that, we have our brands, our clubs, the different stakeholders. Then we have our services, which is the 12 accelerators around the world. We have different products and services like the Platinum Club for startups, where we actually take them hand in hand, invest in them, and also bring co-investors into the game. So all this creates, and if you ask about our business model, we are for-profit organization, yes? And we usually create our business model from a win-win, where we bring value to the startups, we get option to invest, and it's a win-win proposition. I would say, vanilla, if you ask me what are we investing in, we're looking for startups with a market cap of between $3 to $5 million, with, as I mentioned, full validation. So we are looking that you already created in your own efforts and entrepreneurial mindset at least 1 or 2 successful pilots. That also shows a lot about you. We are looking for a stamp or some kind of strategic partner, like you manage to enroll a big or medium-sized strategic partner to work with your product. It also demonstrates your capabilities. Because to be able to survive, be able to do that journey, I don't need to tell you. Yeah, that's the most amazing, but I believe the most difficult journey anybody can have in the business world. We are looking for a powerful team. As we know from our experience, sometimes businesses are getting, shaken up. You need to spin out. You need to change your business model. You need to change your product. A strong team that has a, I can see the jury coming back already. Peter, jury's coming back.
If you want to finish off, I think.
Yeah, they're ready?
They're ready. They're coming back. They need a little bit of time.
Okay.
Tough job.
Okay. So we're looking for a powerful team that will be able to survive those phases, the ups and downs, and to continue the leadership. And also, we're looking for startups that we can really feel that we can take them to the next level. We can really bring them to where they could be. We just launched our 3rd magazine, which you can see analysis, research about the sports tech industry. You can see great contributors which are writing about how they look at focusing on investments. So this is on our booth, which is over there. Just to finalize, and perhaps on time, our vision is to impact people's lives, and I would like again to thank SPOBIS sponsors for their leadership. I think bringing this global competition is works hand in hand with their objectives, and I think with the crowd here. And Thank you all for listening.